And we are live. Hello and welcome everyone to another Gen2 Draft League interview. This is my second to last captain interview, and today joining me is Chris. Hello, Chris.
Howdy.
How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. I just took a sip of red Gatorade, so
Oh, so your morning's going well. Glad to hear
exactly.
it. um, yeah. Oh my God, my cats are fighting. Hey
Oh,
guys, relax. That's a normal
quit
fight for
being
them.
dramatic, guys.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's talk about some Pokemon, shall we? Um,
Yeah.
so my first question for you is a pretty basic, straightforward opener. Just how have you been enjoying the league so far?
It's awful. It sucks. I hate it. No. This has unironically been one of the most enjoyable Pokemon experiences that I've had. Um, I a bit of a weird anecdote, but like I remember when I was a lot younger, Black Two and White Two had just come out. Me and a handful of my friends that lived in the neighborhood, we would like pick a type and we would like build a gym team around it, and we would
Hmm.
challenge each other. And it's feeling very nostalgic, being back to that sort of uh, just being in a situation where like there's a very specific set of mons that I get to choose from in order to like build the best team possible.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. I mean, that I used to do the exact same thing, and I think actually that's one of my inspirations for this Discord and doing this is like I was in a Discord back during COVID, where it was like from this Reddit post, and everyone got on, and like several people signed up to be gym leaders, and we had a gym leader of every type, and then the other players could go around and like challenge the gym leaders. So I was like the poison type gym leader, and would get
God, that's
challenged.
awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Um, I'll use this opportunity to shout out the Pokemon Fiesta Discord that I'm starting. Maybe I'll do something like that in the future. I'm trying to build this Pokemon themed Discord with lots of different Pokemon stuff, not only will Gen 3 League and Gen 4 League and so on and so forth happen in there, but I'm going to be doing tournaments and maybe we could do something like that. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to shout out the Discord
Yeah.
with your answer. But no, I'm really glad that you're having fun with it. I worry when I see, you didn't win a lot of games in the first few. I'm like, uh-oh. I hope he's still having a good time. So I'm glad you've had a good
Listen, I
time.
could have gone 0 and 7 and I'd be like smiling with I'd have the biggest smile on my face. Like this has been
Mm-hmm.
fun regardless.
Okay,
But
great.
it was nice. I do have to I didn't mention it earlier, but I do excuse me. I do have to thank Robin for giving me a couple of like pointers, giving me a few like practice games
Mm-hmm.
to sort of hone in my skill a little bit better and get squeeze a couple of W's out before quarterfinals.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that was awesome to see. I'm really happy when the league ends up a little more even. There are three teams with the same record as yours at the end of the day, so
Yeah.
your record's really not that bad. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So moving on to the next question: is there a move or a strategy that an opponent used throughout this season that most surprised you?
Um, I was blindsided by Sane in the Rain. My entire strategy kind of hinged on disrupting um, the Rain Rain Dance Paris song strat, and it
Mm-hmm.
just didn't happen. They didn't even bring Wobbuffet to most of their to any of the fights that we had, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I was pretty swiftly undone by that. That was a bit of a shock to me, but then I was like, I think that was when it clicked for me. Like, I'm preparing for like an optimal scenario, but I'm pretty sure the person that I'm like going against is going to um, assume that I have the tools to snuff their strategy. So if they need to, they're going to change it up. Like, is it worth it
Yeah.
to give Swift Swim Kingdra more ammunition, or should I maybe change tactics? And they changed tactics, and it worked. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. Like the draft league does go like that, where it's like you're going for like the second or third strategy rather than the first most obvious one, just to try to be surprising, right? Because everyone's
Yeah.
so over prepared. Okay, yeah, cool. I mean, yeah, singing in the rain. Haven't done a lot of singing this season, I gotta say.
No, yeah. I mean, in fairness, I won my last two games with not very much Kingdra.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No Kingdra at all, I think, right? In the very last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a rough one for Kingdra against the double fairy types, but still, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Okay, cool. Well, since we're on the topic of the Pokemon on your team, I wanted to ask you, uh, which Pokemon on your team is your personal favorite? Like the one that you like the most? Not necessarily the one that's the strongest or the best, but the one that you just like the most or most attached to.
That was a really fun question, actually. So when I was drafting, I had I didn't really have very many mons in mind. I liked Fortress. I was actually looking at Umbreon. I thought Kingdra was nice, and for some reason, I had this fixation for Xatu. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I ended up really, as the league started, I ended up really liking Kingdra, really liking Fortress, really liking Lugia. I hadn't done much with it before, but like it was very nice. But as like the weeks moved on, I started to see how each member of my team like slotted in, and I started to feel more enjoyment when like certain things went my way. Because for like the matches of the games that I lost that I still like won, um, like Fortress was still pretty solid, but like uh Kangaskhan, I think, was the first one where I was like, yeah, this is a very, very fun mon. I know they're
Mm-hmm.
a Gen 1er, but still very. Um, I don't know. It's nice. Just it's just fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
Last Resort or Fake Out Last Resort is um, uh, it's a nice strat. It's just fun to like have a normal type sweeper because like nothing really resists it super duper well
Mm-hmm.
outside of like a handful of mons. But I think the sleeper pick for me was honestly Jumpluff. Once I realized how to use it efficiently,
Mm-hmm.
um, it quickly jumped to being like my number one. Definitely like surpassed Xatu in terms of like my favorite support on the team. Um, yeah, just the versatility that it has in like all of its support moveset. Um, I don't know. It was just really fun seeing Jumpluff be able to like contort into whatever shape the team needed for my last two matches.
Nice. Yeah.
Plus, it just looks nice. That's a little guy. That's a happy little guy.
Cool. Yeah, I like to see that. Yeah, Jump Bluff is pretty great. I remember I was doing the write ups on Jump Bluff. I was so impressed by how many different moves it can learn. It's insane. It has like all the moves you could ever want on this Pokemon. Really, really wide move pool. Lets you do a lot of different things. Can fit whatever you need. And Kangaskhan has been great. I don't know. I mean, you weren't around for Gen 1, but James was it was just one of James's Pokemon, and he ran it. I think it's really cool to see that Pokemon be a powerful threat 2 seasons in a row, but also running two entirely different sets. Because James ran it pretty much every week. It was just Assault Vest, and it would be super tanky and spam like Earthquake and spam Rock Slide and just like, these spread moves, and it like was so hard to take down and slowly chipped away at your team. And then you have taken it in a completely different direction with the Fake Out Last Resort, just deleting stuff. And I think the set where you revealed that was actually against me the first time we had seen the Fake Out Last Resort, and
Yeah.
it absolutely destroyed me. Like that might be one of the single most one-sided. I mean, there are a few throughout the league, but that's got to be up there in terms of
Yeah, that first match was like, whew,
yeah, like a
whew.
single game that I don't know if I've seen a single game that one-sided in the league. Maybe There's maybe like one other candidate for that, but yeah, pretty good. Okay, one or two maybe, but yeah, cool. So Jumpluff is your pick ultimately.
Yeah.
End of the day. All right, cool. Gotcha. Is there any Pokemon on your team that you think is maybe underperforming relative to where it was drafted?
I think honestly, my gut reaction is to say Zatu.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Actually, yeah, I would say Zatu just because even the mons that like I would semi regularly switch in and out, like Fortress and Blissey were just not as versatile or powerful like walls as Lugia, but they
Mm-hmm.
still served their like niches. Like I had a couple of um I don't remember who it was where the strat was to set rain and then have Fortress um, I think it was actually against. Uh, I think it was against James. Now there was someone with a fire type threat, and I brought Fortress and uh, setting rain, and I think terroring Fortress was like my go to keep him in for longer.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
but
there. Go ahead.
oh no, yeah, I had actually, no, yeah, I guess Blissey was also kind of walled out from a lot of teams because there was I've had a couple of lopsided teams where they had a lot more physical attack than like special attack or vice versa. But for the most part, like whatever Blissey could bring to the table was just like stalling,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to put as much damage into my team as possible because I didn't have too many mons that had like high damage outside of like Kingdra and Kangaskhan.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. I think there are definitely some matchups where if Fortress gets the Iron Defense up and uses a defensive Terra, it just feels completely unstoppable. But those
Yeah,
are specific matchups where, like, there's not a lot of special attackers. I think Greenlee's matchup especially comes to mind because
yeah.
there's no special attack on that team basically, and the ones there are like Executor and Giraffe Rig, which really can't do anything to Fortress. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay, cool, awesome. Is there a Pokemon? We kind of talked about Jumpluff already, but is there a Pokemon you think is overperforming? Like maybe the strongest Pokemon on your team, especially relative to the draft position?
We did already talk about Jump Left, and I think they're probably like up there the most for me. But like,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, after I learned how to use Lugia a bit better, I think that I mean it is an Uber, so I guess I shouldn't be that surprised that it performed as well as it did.
Mm-hmm.
But um, still, like I was a bit shocked by like how much I could squeeze out of it. Just like um, it was decent for setting rain because it had like hurricane synergy. Um, it was great every time I landed an Aeroblast that crit, especially the one against Robin, that most recent match.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Calm Mind Weakness Policy really it eluded me for a while, and then I realized like that's actually really good, especially since Knockoff didn't know that it proc Weakness Policy before getting rid of Weakness Policy.
Mm-hmm.
That's really nice to know. But yeah, it has like the Calm Mind, the Recover, um, Multiscale especially. Um, I don't know. I underrated it a lot, and it carried me through even the matches that I lost. It was often like who was able to like sit in the longest or like put in a really good bit of work. Um, Even after I stopped putting Damp Rock on it and started pushing it more as like um, a special wall.
Yeah. 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 And once this Pokemon gets a stat boost or two with the Calm Mind or the Weakness Policy, it has everything. Because the only thing it's missing is a little bit of more offensive pressure, right? It's got not that high of attack stats, but it is like unkillable and how
Yeah.
tanky it is. Okay, yeah, cool. Um, well, at this point, we're through week 7. You played every team, and so I want to ask, like, in your opinion, which matchup, like, not necessarily based on player skill, but just like on paper, which matchup do you think is your best? And then also, which one do you think is your worst?
Um, I think I had yeah, ignoring like player skill. I think I went most confidently into the match with Greenlee, just
Mm-hmm.
because of the massive like physical slant of their team. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to say I was a bit intimidated by Brian's team just because they also relied on rain, and I was a little scared of that Wobbuffet. But who was it? I think it's the same player I'm facing like for quarterfinals, James. I think that was the one team that I was the most like intimidated by. Uh, I think most of it was just the like uh, it was just the individual mons that I saw on the team.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, Moltres was a bit intimidating. Hitmontop, especially after playing against it, is very intimidating. The Umbreon Espeon was uh, that was, I mean, it used to very very good effect. Um, and yeah, for the most part, I think that was the team that I was the most put off by, with maybe um, Robin's team coming in at like a close second.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just because I wasn't 100% sure how I was going to. I don't know. There seemed like a varied set of contingencies to kind of watch out for there.
Yes.
But yeah, ultimately, I was able to kind of maximize my winning options there. But yeah, I'd say James was probably the James's team was the one that was the most like intimidating for me, whereas Greenlee's was the one that I felt was probably the one that I would have the least trouble dealing with going into the match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I prep Greenlee's team a lot. Like, we work very closely together for pretty much all her matches, and so I do a lot of like practice matches and stuff. So I prepped her team for your team, and I gotta say, it is really hard for her to win.
Yeah,
Like, it's tough. It's tough, and Fortress is kind of the linchpin of that, at least to me. I told her going in. I mean, I probably shouldn't be telling you this because I don't know. There's a chance you meet up in the playoffs, but it's not the most like. I think you're on opposite sides of the bracket, but um, so if you do meet, it'll be in like the finals. So we'll see. But I told her going into the match, I was like, you just have to hope that he doesn't click Iron Defense and Terra Water on Fortress, because if that happens, you lose. Because it was like that brutal. Like, there are situations where with one Iron Defense, Fortress would just like sweep 3 Pokemon like by itself. It was
yeah.
insane. Like, because it's all physical, they can't hit Fortress. It's like, I don't know. So yeah, interesting one. Interesting one. Okay, cool. Well, and yeah, favorable, least favorable, like James, I could see that a lot because I think James has 2 of the Pokemon I think are some of the best versus Lugia, and Lugia is obviously one of your very strongest Pokemon. And then setting the rain, which is something you want to do, actually benefits for Alligator a lot, and for Alligator is like a star of that team as well. So it just ends up putting you in a tough position against that team. So I can understand that a lot. Okay, cool. Well, while we're talking about teams that you've played, I mean, I also you matched up against me in the first round of the playoffs, right?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, yeah, well, it's a little different. I was asking this question before everyone saw the playoff bracket. Now that it's out there, it's a little different. But if you could rematch any team, is there a team you would most want to have a second chance at playing against?
I think my gut instinct is to just like uh say the first match just because of um hindsight is 2020.
Mm-hmm.
But hmm, honestly, I think I would want to um my preparatory strategy against the Sunny Shore Wakes was such a miss for me that like I think I would relish the opportunity to um uh fight them, do that whole fight over, like reconsidering with the knowledge that I have now. um I think that's probably the one that has the largest disparity between like what I assumed would happen and what actually ended up happening. And I
Okay.
think I'm a better player than I was when I had started that match. So
The Wakes is
yeah.
the Wakes is Robin. You won that match.
Oh, the Sunny Shore Awake, excuse me. Singing in the Rain.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah.
you wanna win even harder? Like,
I want to go back and get a 3-0. No.
yeah. Okay, yeah. The Singing in the Rain, got it. Yeah, big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talked about that. I think when I asked you which strategy surprised you too. Okay, cool,
Yeah.
nice.
My
Okay.
runner up there is I would like to. I imagine how my fight with Carter would have gone if he remembered to put Fire Orb on his
Heracross.
Heracross.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, we take those.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Neat. All right. Let's see. Sorry, I lost my place on my little question list here. Okay, yeah. So outside of your team, because we talked about a lot the Pokemon on your team, is there a single Pokemon that you think is like the scariest, or and like follow up to that would be like, what is you think the best value like for draft position, just looking across the field?
I think there are a couple
Mm-hmm.
of really interesting ones. Um, I think in a vacuum, Azumarill is up there. Um, Ho is definitely up there for me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, let's see. I'm a little biased, but Jumpluff is up there. Scizor. Um,
Yeah, all great Pokemon.
I think I see most of the mons that I'm thinking of including are on James's team, like Moltres, Hitmontop, Espeon for Alligator, Umbreon.
Yeah.
Like they're all pretty high up there for me.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think you mentioned the Zoomer and the Scizor. I think those both fit in a similar category of like they hit really hard, they boost themselves once, and then they use these priority moves to hit like insanely hard and always hit first. It's like,
Yeah, that bullet punch was.
yeah, it's a scary archetype of Pokemon. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Well, actually, in that same vein, if you could swap your entire team with another team and then play as that team instead of your own, which one would you pick? And this doesn't have to mean like, oh, I think this team is the strongest, but which one like would you most enjoy playing?
Um, honestly, Carter's team is up there for me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
when I was practicing against Robin, she showed me that there's a whole like science to the Tailwind battle that might have happened between my Jumpluff and his Murkrow,
Mm-hmm.
just because of Murkrow's prankster ability, and so uh, there was a lot that had to be like contingencyed for, but that plus Sneasel, uh, honestly having a somewhat similar playstyle to my Kangaskhan, with like fake out pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Vileplume, it ain't no jump bluff, but like uh, it's got a lot of like powder moves on deck. Celebi, especially, I think I would enjoy playing with, and Flame Orb Heracross, I think serves the other function of my team's Kangaskhan, where it just gets a bunch of stats and uses a bunch of moves to sweep the enemy team before it dies.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
It deletes Pokemon. I don't know if you happen. I don't know how much you watch the other series, but there's a series between Carter team and James's team where Heracross just deletes the entire team.
Oh my god.
It's crazy. So you should check that one out. That's my recommendation for a series to go watch.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting you pick Carter's team also because like your team is definitely like leaning a little bit more defensive, whereas Carter's team is like mostly glass cannon type Pokemon. So kind of opposite archetype in a lot of ways. So that's
Yeah.
cool. Um, I have one more, I guess, serious question before I have some fun ones to close out. But my last question for you is, what is your biggest lesson from the season? Whether that be like competitively, personally, like I don't know, whatever you think is the biggest lesson from your experience.
Honestly, I think it's just confidence. There are a lot of things that I didn't do earlier on in the season that uh, I guess I was sort of, I don't know. I think a good like microcosm example of that is I rarely ever switched out in like my first 4 or 5 games, and if I ever did, it was like through a move like U-turn or flip turn or whatever. I had this sort of like um, I didn't seem to want to commit to decisions that I felt didn't have, uh, or I felt were not, I guess, advantageous in a way that I didn't immediately see the benefit of. Kind
Mm-hmm.
of like playing chess one move at a time, as opposed to sort of looking forward into like how the board state will be like 2, 3, 4 turns from now.
Totally, yeah.
Um, and I think what I learned the most was like uh, there are very very interesting uh, pieces of like they're very interesting like strategies that come from just um, what was it? There was a synergy that I didn't even realize was a possibility until like after it had happened. Um, in one of my matches, uh, I want to say it was like uh, I want to say it was against Robin's team. I'm blanking on it, but it was just an example that I had thought of like, hey, this is. I think it was flip turn from Kingdra into fake out Kangaskhan, but
Mm-hmm.
like just a lot of synergies that I didn't really even think of just because I wasn't confident enough to say, okay, this is how these things are going to work together. I just sort of played it safe and tried to cover all of my options and made everyone sort of generalist instead of pigeonholing them more into their win conditions.
Right.
And after I embraced that a lot more, after I started like switching more, started um, playing more to my strengths than trying to um, perpetually exist in fear of my weaknesses. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's when I started taking more games. And also just like I started being like, okay, I can take a little bit longer to decide what moves I want to use. I don't have to be scared into using what would be like the greatest on this one turn. I can be like, hmm, Fakeout's not going to work against this mom because they can't be flinched, stuff like that. Like, I
Yeah.
think that has happened to me like 3 times throughout the entire. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and that must have been painful to watch.
There's
At
well
least I know it was painful to watch for one person because she coached me.
yeah, I mean the distribution of inner focus in Gen 2 for whatever reason is like they gave it to so many Pokemon. I don't know why,
It's
but
crazy.
they were giving it away like candy in this generation. So a lot of them can't be flinched. But yeah, no, I think what you're saying is very like kind of in line with my own experiences, and like I think it shows that you've learned a lot, like because I think one of the biggest signs of a new player versus like a more experienced player is new players tend to focus on what's the best move for the two Pokemon in front of them, and like experienced players tend to think about the best move considering what are the two Pokemon that they haven't seen yet. You know what I mean? Like, what are the Pokemon on the back? What is going to be the end game state? And how do I make sure that that end game state is favorable to me? Like, how do I get rid of the Pokemon that threaten my backmons? Like
Yeah.
that's and thinking later into the game is like a hallmark of a more experienced player. So it's cool to me that you're already seeing that even after just one season of experience. And I think you've come a really long way in a short amount of time. So I'm impressed.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I do have a couple more, little more for fun questions as we close out here. So the first one is going to be team names. We talked about which team you would swap with, but which team name and logo is your favorite?
Um,
I'm gonna scroll
I
through them on screen really quick while you think
yeah.
about it.
I'm not gonna lie. I was a really big fan of the Sunny Shore Wakes logo.
uh,
It felt very in line with like the style that I attempted to go for with my own logo.
yeah.
And also Piplup is like my second favorite starter of all time.
Oh, nice.
Um, and Sinnoh is my favorite generation. So yeah. That being said, in a heartbeat, if I had the option, it'd be scrambled egg every time.
Okay, nice. Love to see that. Scrambled egg, I think, is winning overall because I've interviewed all the captains and I've asked them all this question. And I think scrambled egg is
Hey,
getting the
great
most
minds,
shout
you know?
outs. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Glad to hear that. It's interesting that you say that about the Wakes because the Wakes called your logo out as their favorite. So I think, or as her favorite. So I think you you have a similar taste in in design there. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome, by the way.
Yeah. Um, cool. Well, I hope I don't mind you don't mind me saying on the interview, but you're not coming back for Gen 3, right?
I will
Um,
not come back for Gen 3.
yeah.
I'll probably still end up joining for um, future events like afterward. It's just this
Hmm.
particular stretch of time is about to be exceedingly busy for me.
Yeah, no,
Um,
totally understand. But since
yeah,
you mentioned Gen 4 is your favorite, I was just gonna tell you should come back for Gen 4.
absolutely.
Because we'll have that in
Absolutely.
another 2 months or so. So see what your schedule's like and consider making a return.
Yeah.
Um, well, it's been good to have you. I really appreciate you coming on for the interview. Yeah, it's been fun talking about all this stuff. And before we go, I have to ask my very last question. For all the fans of the Sinnoh Kingdras out there who are, they really want to hear from you, they really want to know what you have to say. What do you have to say to the Sinnoh Kingdras fans?
You know, I think we played a great season, maybe the greatest competitive season of the team's history, and I can say that with 100% confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And just know whenever I land the finishing blow and make it past finals, just let it be known that you were there. You know.
All right. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for joining me. Really appreciate it. Great conversation. And to all the viewers, thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. It's been a lot of fun doing these captain interviews. I hope everyone's been enjoying hearing a bit more from our captains, getting connected to the community a bit, and yeah. So yeah, thank you.